Abdominal regions and quadrants. Abdominal pelvic cavity is huge comparing with some other small cavities, and it has a lot of organs and structures. To describe the location of each organ, it's not enough just to say it's in the abdominal cavity. In the abdominal cavity where? Another reason why we want to divide abdominal cavity in smaller structures is, let's imagine you are a nurse and you have a patient complaining that they have an acute pain in the abdominal cavity, and they point somewhere here. How would you describe it? It's an abdominal cavity. This one is in the abdominal cavity too. That one would be part of the abdominal cavity also. That's why, for the convenience, we have 9 abdominopelvic regions and 4 abdominopelvic quadrants. Those are just 2 ways to describe the location of structures, organs in the abdominal cavity, and you need to know both of them. It is easier with the quadrants. We have 2 upper quadrants, right and left. In the right quadrant, we have liver, at least the right lobe of the liver, gallbladder, small portion of the stomach, and portion of the large intestine. In the left upper quadrant, we have another portion of the large intestine, then we have most of the stomach and the left lobe of liver, and right here you can see the spleen. Then we have 2 lower quadrants. In the right lower quadrant, there are portions of small and large intestines. Also, appendix would be approximately here. In the left lower quadrant, there will be mostly small and large intestine. Now, another system to describe the abdominal cavity. Regions. There are 9 abdominopelvic regions. On the top right here, there are 3 regions. Right hypochondriac with a portion of the liver. Epigastric has another portion of the liver, most of the gallbladder and stomach. And left hypochondriac region, stomach and spleen. Then we have right lumbar region, that is your large intestine and small intestine. Umbilical region, small intestine, large intestine, and lower portion of the stomach. And left lumbar region, also small and large intestine. Right iliac region, large intestine mostly with appendix. Hypogastric region, here would be small intestine, also bladder and reproductive organs, and left iliac region, mostly small and large intestine. So you need to know those names. You need to be able to label them in the picture when you have your exam, and you need to know at least one example of what organ is located in each region or each quadrant. One more thing we'll talk about today. Those are membranes of the anterior or ventral body cavity. Remember, our ventral body cavity is made of thoracic and abdominopelvic cavities. So those membranes are called serous membranes or serosa. Those are thin, double-layered membrane separated by serous fluid. What is that? It means that some organs of our body are surrounded with a double membrane, and between 2 layers of membrane there will be a small space, cavity, filled with serous fluid. To understand better the structure of those membranes, imagine you have a balloon and you insert your fist into that balloon. One layer of that balloon, one portion, will be sitting very close to your fist. Another layer will be on the outside. And between them, there will be air space. So, serous membranes have very similar structure. One layer sitting very close to the organ will be called visceral portion. Here it is. The other layer, sitting outside, will be called parietal portion or parietal serosa. Between them, there will be a cavity. When we're talking about our heart, the visceral portion is called visceral pericardium. So that is layer of visceral pericardium. It's sitting right on the heart wall. The outer layer is called parietal pericardium. So outer parietal pericardium. Between them, there is pericardial cavity filled in with a pericardial fluid. What for is the double membrane there? Well, our heart is moving all the time. It is beating, pumping the blood. And if there was no double layer with fluid between, our heart would just destroy itself against the surrounding organs. So that pericardial fluid actually, it's like an oil for your car. It's for protection and it reduces friction. We also have other membranes, like for example there is pleura. It's a double membrane, serous membrane that surrounds the lungs. And of course there will be parietal and visceral pleura. Visceral pleura surrounding the lung itself, and parietal would be the outer layer of the membrane. Between them there will be a pleural cavity with some amount of fluid. We already said about pericardium, and there will be one more serous membrane that is called peritoneum. It is located in the abdominal pelvic cavity, and we will be talking about this one later. For now, you need to know what is pericardium, visceral and parietal, and what is pleura, visceral and parietal, and where those are located. There are other body cavities in our body, smaller ones. Oral cavity is our mouth. Digestive cavities are spaces inside of our digestive organs, like inside of the stomach, that space, inside of the large and small intestine. Nasal cavity is our nose. Orbital cavities house our eyes. Middle ear cavities are tiny spaces inside of our ears. And finally, we have synovial cavities, very small spaces inside of most of our movable joints. Here are your answers for the directional terms quiz and body cavities test. Please check if you answered them correctly.